Skyrocketing rates of murder and violence may be coming down from frightening spikes. But there's a disturbing and opposite trend when it comes to juveniles.
We are shocked not only are the victims juveniles, but the murderers are juveniles as well.
We investigate a national epidemic and the search for a solution. When I looked at the mugshots, one of the kids in particular, he looked like a baby.
It makes you wonder, as law enforcement, what is the world going to turn out to be beyond us?
Cuba was ground zero for a mysterious ailment that was said to target U.S. diplomats or spies.
Some mysterious energy weapon that produced a new syndrome, a new disorder with brain damage.
This week, we report from Havana for a reality check on the hype behind an international scandal. And in America, the politics behind a pandemic.
But it seemed as if the political strata were very much abdicating their decision-making to this sort of maxim of follow the science.
Government censorship of science as lockdowns go viral. Welcome to Full Measure. I'm Sharyl Attkisson. You already know that much of the nation is in the grip of a crime wave. A subset of that crime wave is a spike in crimes committed by children. After a decades-long decline, juvenile crime is back in a big way and taking a major toll, not just in America's big cities. Today, we're off to rural Florida, where they're dealing with one of the most shocking and horrific crimes committed by kids. Marion County Sheriff's Deputy Paul Bloom drives us to a dirt road neighborhood in the middle of Central Florida's Ocala National Forest.
They couldn't decide if they want to do car burglaries or go rob somebody for their marijuana.
Where unthinkable tragedy unfolded last March.
Somebody heard a shot, and where they initially shot the first victim, and the car kind of rolls into a dumpster. Next body was found like right in here. From there, found the third victim's body in the trunk.
Double homicide's a big deal, and then now you have three.
That was, and at that point, I remember thinking, I hope this is it.
3 victims shot execution style, just 16 and 17 years old. Then another stunner.
We are shocked not only are the victims juveniles, but the murderers are juveniles as well.
One of the accused killers, Christopher Atkins, just 12 years old. When I looked at the mugshots, one of the kids in particular, he looked like a baby. You know, his face just looked so young. Marion County Sheriff Billy Woods.
I looked in the eyes of the mother of that 12-year-old, and it broke my heart down deep inside. To knowing the struggles in which she's going through, it makes you wonder, as law enforcement, is what we see, what is the world going to turn out to be beyond us?
Layla was involved in softball.
Lisa Windsor is the grandmother of Layla Silvernail, one of the 3 shot in the head. She was left near a dumpster.
It was shocking because especially why would a 12-year-old have a gun to begin with?
In a twist, police say the 3 accused killers and the 3 victims were driving around together, plotting a night of crime to get marijuana. Was it such a surprise to you that you found out she was associating with these other kids?
It was a surprise to us because Layla wouldn't really hang around kids like that. She wasn't raised that way. She had a good head on her shoulders. I think, personally, she was dragged into this because she was a driver.
Across the country, children are increasingly committing and becoming victims in serious crimes. The latest numbers put out by the FBI are more than 3 years old, but already in 2020 they showed murders committed by a single juvenile up 30%, murders involving multiple juveniles up 65%. More recent stats from local governments are as troubling. In Montgomery County, Maryland, juvenile violent crime went up 329% in 2023. News headlines are flooded with horrible real-life examples. In North Florida, an autistic teen brutally beats a teacher at school. In Montgomery, Alabama, an 8-year-old is charged in an armed carjacking and police chase. And in the nation's capital, too many tragedies to count. An Uber driver killed by 2 girls, 13 and 15, who stole and flipped his car while he clung on.
She's stealing their car. He's stealing the car? Yeah, we called the cops. Call the cops. Call the cops. Hey, they stole the car. They stole the car. These girls.
They'll be released from custody when they're 21. More recently, 5 Washington, D.C. teens arrested in a 4-month-long armed carjacking spree. 5 D.C. teens caught on video in a carjacking attempt, including a 13-year-old girl who'd allegedly committed a 4-day spate of robberies. And 12 and 13-year-olds reportedly tried to carjack an off-duty federal officer in Washington, D.C., who shot and killed the 13-year-old, a repeat offender. Devalio Anderson, now 19, was part of the juvenile crime wave starting at age 15, despite having a present mom, a comfortable home, and a private education. What kinds of things were you doing?
Grand theft, credit card fraud, possession of a firearm, discharge of a firearm, possession of marijuana.
What do you think made you go down that path?
I was trying to follow the world, but the world's always changing, so yeah, I can't really fit into something that's always changing and evolving. I guess like if I see like celebrities doing something or like people of a higher status, that would kind of make me like shift more towards like that image in a sense.
Bad behavior by famous people?
Mm.
There may be general agreement there's a crisis, but no consensus on what will fix it.
We have children.
Washington, D.C. Mayor Muriel Bowser declared a state of emergency last fall and proposed a crime-fighting package. It dials back on reforms that she says hampered police efforts.
We can't stop supervising kids. We can't divert them when they've committed a crime. We can't let children in the schools beat up teachers with no consequences. We got to get our ecosystem back in track. We just do.
The Washington, D.C. mayor's proposal includes reinstating police authority to declare temporary drug-free zones to stop people from gathering to traffic or use illegal drugs, and criminal penalties for directing and committing organized retail theft. In New Orleans, Louisiana, where murders committed by children were up 40% last year, they have a plan to get judges and city council members working together on better ways to monitor juvenile criminals. And in Minneapolis, Minnesota, where cases of children charged with homicide have more than doubled since 2021, the state legislature created a panel to propose better treatment to keep children from reoffending. When we look at the nationwide concern over rise in juvenile crime, what do you think is the answer?
Accountability. We have to change that.
Marion County, Florida Sheriff Woods has given it a lot of thought.
And what the future holds, I don't know. I don't have no immediate solutions. I do know if we don't change, it's only going to get worse.
The 3 boys charged in the triple murder are awaiting trial. They're charged as adults. So they could be in prison for life.
That's exactly right. At minimum. And truthfully, that's where they should be.
Potential death penalty?
Yep, it's on the table.
But today we end on a hopeful note. DeValio and his mother say he's managed to turn things around. He finished high school while in detention and got accepted to Florida State University, where he's now studying psychology.
I knew that I was lost and I was trying to follow something that wasn't right. And that's when I started to actually pray and talk to God. Yeah, I started to pick up the Bible for the first time and read it, and that's what brought me peace and comfort in that situation.
In my eyes, DeValio was just a phenomenal kid. Excellent grades. I had faith that out of all this heartache that I was going through, at the end, it was going to be different. So I just continued to pray and believed in him. I knew he was going to change. It was just a matter of time.
In Maryland, where some of the worst juvenile crime spikes are happening, some officials say state reforms that dialed back on punishment for juveniles are making the problem worse. Coming up, a trip to Cuba to unravel the mystery behind Havana syndrome. You may have heard about Havana syndrome, a strange phenomenon where U.S. government employees began suffering from mysterious illnesses, possibly from a secret weapon invented by an adversary. The whole controversy became enveloped in politics and questionable science. Today, we're off to Havana to hear from the lead scientist on Cuba's assessment, who tells us how the story unfolded there. Havana syndrome, named after the first reports in Cuba's capital, was a mysterious illness said to impact more than 1,500 U.S. government employees in Cuba and around the world, starting in 2016. Dr. Mitchell Joseph Valdez Sosa is director of the Cuban Center for Neuroscience. He led Cuba's investigation. So knowing everything that you know now, what do you think this is a story of?
I think this is a tremendous story. Not the story that originally many people saw, Flash Gordon, mysterious kind of weapon. That is immediately a headline story, right? But that's not true. But the other story is just as interesting. It is, how could science be sidelined for 7 years?
Victims of Havana syndrome reported headaches, dizziness, a loud sound in their ears, even memory loss.
They're having neighbors over for drinks, and suddenly they hear this sound, and it fills the air and sounds kind of like cicadas, only it's a more piercing metallic sound.
As rumors spread, more cases surfaced. Media reports and experts fueled speculation that Russia or China had deployed some sort of secret new weapon.
The narrative that was accepted very widely is that a group of diplomats or spies that were in the American embassy had been attacked by some mysterious energy weapon that produced a new syndrome, a new disorder, with brain damage, with damage to the hearing, and the same kind of attack later generalized to other countries and was reported over a dozen countries around the world, including the U.S.
At first, did Cuban authorities treat this as though there might be something to it? Were they concerned?
Yes. The first reaction and officials, including some from the Ministry of Foreign Relations, is that this had to be looked in very seriously. The problem is, as more and more research was carried out from the very first moment, things didn't make sense.
He says Cuba's Academy of Sciences convened a team of experts, neurologists, ear specialists, epidemiologists, engineers, and physicists.
And everybody agreed that microwaves were impossible, sound was impossible, there was no known source. Now the problem is that if you look at all the energy sources, sound so loud to harm somebody, you first would have to destroy all the ear. Everybody had their ears intact, but they could have a little hearing problem to damage the brain. Second, microwaves, you had to burn the skin to get to the brain. Third, ultrasound, right? You'd have to place the probe next to the person. Infrasound, is very widespread. You can't focus it. So we looked at each and every one of the sources, and they didn't fit into what was described. Because the diplomats were saying, I was in a room and I was targeted specifically from outside the room. But it's not possible that any energy source we know of.
Valdez Sosa and his team published their findings in 2021.
Saying that we believe that the whole narrative was false because it's impossible, then the conclusion they reached is there's no real basis to this whole narrative of the Havana syndrome.
The report fell on deaf ears, he says, largely due to the strained political relationship between Cuba and the U.S. Then, last March, a U.S. intelligence community assessment of cases in over 90 countries admitted there was no evidence to support the theory that Havana syndrome was caused by some sort of secret weapon.
Today, the intelligence community has assessed it was likely not the work of a foreign adversary.
I'm willing to take the leap if there's evidence of another source saying this needs an explanation. But the question is, what needs explanation? Because if there's no brain damage, if there's no hearing loss, if there's no new syndrome, if there's no evidence of any perpetrator, then why do I have to search for a mysterious and make that leap?
In 2021, by the way, Congress passed a law offering victims $180,000 each. When we return, lockdowns go viral. In March of 2021, while the world was steeped in the COVID crisis, a group of filmmakers quietly began a project to document the scandalous censorship of science and free thought in real time. They did so anonymously for fear of retribution. The result is a new documentary series called Follow the Science, Lockdowns Go Viral. Hawk Jensen is the award-winning director who says he aims to expose the truth about the government's agenda.
I have this vision, like a wave of deaths moving across the globe. We should take a closer look at these lockdown policies.
First and foremost, there was very clearly a sort of culture of censorship of anyone who was questioning what was going on. And it didn't matter political affiliation. We talked to people who were right of center, left of center, self-described progressives, self-described conservatives, libertarians, independents, and all of them felt that they couldn't speak openly about their questions about what's going on. Perfectly reasonable questions. There was sort of an overall kind of cultural sense that you were not free to speak and ask questions. And that didn't feel correct as an average American who's used to this idea of freedom of speech. We should be able to ask questions. When we talked to Dr. Jay Bhattacharya, for instance, he was like, yeah, we looked at the science and we thought, oh, the conversation merely has veered off into the wrong world. Lockdowns, this sort of blanket policy of lockdowns of the general population is not the correct science. They wrote what's called the Great Barrington Declaration, which we feature in the documentary.
Our brains are wired almost to panic in the face of infectious disease.
Lockdowns of the general population were not correct, and focused protection really was the way we should have been going, which is what Dr. Jay Bhattacharya was trumpeting.
We are going to follow the science to determine, scientifically, if using lockdowns to stop the spread of a viral outbreak was and is the best policy, scientifically speaking.
Why did you decide to call it Follow the Science?
Follow the Science was presented as like science says definitively go one specific direction, and our political leaders started saying things like, we're going to follow the science, as if it's not our decision, science is making the decision.
On something they couldn't possibly know the answer to at the time.
Exactly. I mean, science is a pursuit of truth. It's not the pursuit of absolute truth. You do a certain thing, you learn from it, you make adjustments to your understanding, you move forward in data collection and data analysis. But it seemed as if the political strata were very much abdicating their decision-making to this sort of maxim of follow the science, this sort of institute of science that was somehow on high and our betters and had nothing to do with the scientific method.
When you started this project, these views and thoughts maybe were not as widely expressed, even if people felt them, but by the time it comes out, a lot of people are starting to say the same thing and feeling maybe a little bit freer to say it. So what are your thoughts about that?
We knew that eventually the conversation would come around to what we were thinking. We looked at it, we made good educated guesses as to what was happening. We understood the narrative from the mainstream media. We understood sort of the noble lies that the political elites tend to use to try and get their way, to make people act a certain way, not necessarily based on the scientific truths as they claimed. And we also know that there's sort of an amnesia that the political world and the mainstream media world relies on in the general population, and that as they tend to forget what they went through because it was so traumatizing, that retrospective sort of hindsight is 2020 type documentaries or narratives come out, revisionist narratives start to come out. And so we wanted to make a film real time as it happened.
To find out more, you can go to followthescienceseries.com. And after a break, an update to our reporting from the Panama Canal. A critical international trade route, the Suez Canal, is being disrupted by attacks from Islamic extremist terrorists from Yemen. That makes a second global trade corridor facing trouble. Scott Thuman updates our reporting on the Panama Canal.
The Panama Canal, an engineering feat so large it cuts through an entire country. 70,000 men spent more than 10 years building it. Opening in 1914, around $270 billion worth of cargo passes along its 50 miles each year. But the steady flow of vessels has recently slowed to a trickle, crossings down more than 20%, all because of water or a lack of it. Severe drought leaving the locks at such low levels that vessels are waiting weeks to pass, others taking the long way around South America. The crisis hitting American farm exports to Asia particularly hard, with the expectation it won't get better for months. For Full Measure, I'm Scott Thuman.
Coming up next week on Full Measure, we wrap up our 9th season with highlights from your favorite stories and ours. Did you think right away that this was probably a vaccine reaction?
100%. There was nothing wrong with her prior to that.
You have to deport.
How?
You have to have a mass deportation program.
If someone says, well, what did Hunter Biden supposedly do wrong? What would you say? You won't want to miss our popular Roundtable episode with correspondent Scott Thuman and Lisa Fletcher joining me on set. That's next week on Full Measure. You can hear more stories if you're interested in these topics on our podcast, Full Measure After Hours, wherever you like to listen. Until next time, we'll be searching for more stories that hold powers accountable. Thanks for watching. I'm Sharyl Attkisson.